If you've been watching my channel for a while, then you know exactly how this video is going to go. If you're new here though, this is what I like to call my monthly income reseller report. We're about to get into the highlights of the month. So what went well in my business last month in April? We're going to talk about the items that sold really fast and those that sold for a high sales price. I also want to talk about mistakes and lessons learned by going over items that took way too long to sell and those that sold for very little. Towards the end of the video, we'll get into my total sales numbers in detail, and I also want to discuss that eBay update that helped me reach my record of over $7,000 in sales in a month. Starting off with the 7 high price sales of the month, I'm going to start from number 7 and go all the way down to number 1. First on the list, we have a Poshmark sale, and it was the Skechers Y2K Lace Up Combat Grunge brown leather retro hiker booties. These sold for a total of $57. My earnings after fees was $43.58, and these boots took a total of 71 days to sell. This is pretty much how Skechers boots, when they're retro and Y2K like this, perform. They usually sell for over $40, but they can take a few months to sell, but they are totally worth it if you can find them at a low cost, which usually you can. And if you can find something that's very unique and not much of it is listed, then you can get way more than $40 for them. Next up on the list, number 6, we have some men's shoes. These sold also on Poshmark, and they were these Dr. Martens men's Oxford square toe business casual lace up derby dress shoes. These sold for $59, which left me with earnings of $47.20, and these took 49 days to sell. Dr. Martens, like Skechers, are very similar. The more retro vintage styles perform really well. Both do take a little bit longer to sell, but they always end up in my high price sales category, especially if they're more chunkier and more vintage looking, as we'll see in the number 1 sales spot. Next up, number 5 is a high price and a fast sale too. These were on Poshmark, and it was these Vagabond platform leather chunky penny loafer dress shoes. They sold for $60, which left me with earnings of $48, and these only took 2 days to sell. I showed these shoes in my most recent thrift haul. I did not expect this sale to end up in my high price category of the month, especially because I've picked up some sandals in this brand before, and they did not perform nearly as well as these loafers. As I mentioned in that thrift haul, I picked these shoes up solely based on style. Loafers do really well for me, and when they're platform loafers, they can do even better. When I was researching prices for these shoes, I saw people were pricing them up way high. I listed these for $82 to start with, but then I received this $60 offer, which I instantly accepted because I only paid $4 to $5 for these, so that profit margin was really good. Next up, number 4 is an eBay sale, and it was these Go Ruck athletic running sneakers. They were unisex, so I went ahead and put that in the title. I put the men's size and the women's size. They sold for $64. They sold with a coupon, so after that and fees, my earnings was $44.13, and these took a total of 4 days to sell, so also a fast sale too. I first came across this brand when I was selling clothing. I sold some black athletic type shorts by them for a decent price point. I think it was around $29, which is a good price for some shorts. And usually when you have obscure brands like this, you can find them priced for very little at the thrift stores since they don't know about them. This is my second time selling a pair of Go Ruck shoes. Both times they sold for pretty good amounts, so so this is definitely a brand that I'm going to continue looking out for. In the number 3 spot is also an eBay sale, and actually the rest of the sales are all on eBay. These were some Tory Burch Sally Wedge pumps, gold logo high heel dress shoes. They sold for $66.39. That must have been an offer that I sent out because that is an odd price, and they did sell via promoted listing. So after all of the fees, my final earnings was $53.05, and these here took a total of 16 days to sell. I have never ever been let down by this brand, Tory Burch. Every single time I get it and list it, it performs really well, sells for high prices, and in a fairly quick time frame too. Usually I have to pay up for these shoes anywhere from $15 all the way up to $18, sometimes even $20. If they are in good condition and it is a good style, I am willing to pay up that much for them because I know that they will do well. Sometimes though, things fall through the cracks. The thrift stores pass them, or they don't realize they are Tory, so they'll mark them way down at like $2 to $3, $4 or $5. So when that happens, I definitely pick them up even with a little bit of wear. These here though, I did pay $17, which was still totally worth it because the profit is still there. Next, again on eBay, we have these Birkenstock Papilio or Papilio, I'm not sure how you say that. There were some chestnut brown slip-on platform wedge-heeled sandals. They sold for a total of $75. They sold via promoted listing, so after that and other fees, my earnings was $60.49, and these sold in a total of 12 days. These I picked up on a total whim. I wasn't sure if I would be able to make my money back. I actually showed these in that same thrift haul that I mentioned earlier. So there I mentioned my exact cost of goods for this. Right now I have it listed at an average cost of goods of $7.40, but I'm pretty sure it was more like $20 to $25. Since they were that high of a price, I was really debating it. I was looking up comps, but some were selling for high amounts, some for lower amounts. In the end, I decided to just go with it for a few reasons. First of all, the brand Birkenstock is a really sought after brand. The color chestnut brown is a popular color people search for, and the condition of these, they were in like new condition. The size did make me a little bit nervous because they were on the smaller end. They were like a 5 or 5.5, but in the end, all of those good points outweighed that small bad point, and the gamble paid off. I'm glad I got them, picked them up, listed them because it was a quick good sell. Now the number 1 high price sale of the month, again also on eBay, Dr. Martens platform derby shoes. The style number for these is important, so I also threw that in the title. It was the 9806 style. They were black leather, and I also threw in the keywords Y2K, chunky, and Oxford. They sold for $84.99 with a coupon and promoted listing. That left me with $50.89, and they sold in just 3 days. These even had a rip in both of the shoes. I pointed it out in the pictures and also in the description, and they still sold for a really good price and ended up number 1 on my list. This is a very popular style of shoe, not just in Dr. Martens, but all other sorts of brands, even lower end brands like Walmart brands, Payless brands. If you can find these chunky style lace up shoes, go ahead, do your comps, and if you can pay very little for them, there's probably lots of room for profit there for you, so make sure to look into them. So those were the highlights of the month. If all of my sales could go like that, then I'd probably be in very good shape, but that is not the case. Even after many years of reselling, I still make some mistakes and pick up bad buys that end up selling for very little. So that's what we're going to get into. 7 items that sold for not that much. First up on the list is a Poshmark sale. There was these white mountain strappy slide sandals. They were orange leather, had a cork foot footbed. They sold for a total of $18. After a shipping discount, that left me with $12.38, and they took a total of 56 days to sell. From now on, I am going to be skipping on White Mountain sandals. I do really well with White Mountain boots during the winter, but their sandals aren't performing that well for me this summer. Next, we have an eBay sale, and it was a clothing item, one of the very few I have left. This was a soft surroundings black linen blend full skirt with a front zip detail. It sold for $16.99. They used a coupon, so that left me with $6.27 in earnings, and this one here took a total of 758 days to sell. Later on, we are going to go over the slow sales, so this one could have been there, but it's also a low price sale, so I just threw it in this category instead. I held on to this skirt for 2 whole years, only to end up making a few dollars in profit. Maybe the style of skirt is just not good. Skirts overall have an average lower selling price unless it's a very expensive brand, and I guess it did not help with this one that it was also a petite size. Next up, we have a Deop sale actually. It was these indigo road floral embroidered metallic tapestry ankle boots. They sold for $16, which left me with a earnings of $12.09, and they took a total of 403 days to sell. Again, another item that took way too long. I picked these boots up because I had recently sold some boots by the same brand and in the same style, just in a different color. The other ones did not sell for a whole lot, but they did sell very quickly. So that's why I picked these up, but I guess I did not look over them good enough. They did have some peeling in the inside, so maybe that's why they took long to sell. But either way, this is definitely a brand that I am passing up always because it's just not worth it. Next up, on Depop again, we have the spicy dressy glitter ankle boots. These sold for $15, which left me with earnings of $12.16, and they took a total of 124 days to sell. I had just watched a video all about shoe trends, and they were talking about how metallic was going to be the trendy thing that spring, so that's why I picked these up. But I could have really left these behind. Even when I was home and I was prepping them to photograph them, I thought to myself, what was I thinking? Why did I pick these up? But in the end, it didn't turn out too bad. I didn't make a whole lot of money on them, but I also didn't lose money either. Number 5 is a Poshmark sale, and it was these Abercrombie & Fitch blue jean shorts, high-rise distressed, rolled hem, denim, casual shorts. I was just trying to throw in all the possible keywords I could in there when I relisted them to get them sold. I sold them for $13, which left me with earnings of $8.03, and they took a total of 320 days to sell. This sale, I actually don't mind that much because they were my daughter's shorts. I do that once in a while just to clutter my home and list some of the stuff that's still in good condition. Some of it I will make lots of money on it. Some of it it's just going to be about this much, $8 to $10, which is okay because it's just extra money on things I wasn't using or no longer wanted anyway. And actually, it is about that time for me to do another declutter around my home and list some of the stuff or take some stuff to consignment. Next up, we have another terrible sale that happened on eBay. This one was the worst, I think. It was this NYDJ bootcut trouser, black stretchy ponte knit career dress pants in a size 4. They sold for $11. My earnings on this was negative $8.79. I'll explain why in a moment. I had these listed for 584 days. Long story short with these pants, I had the pictures where it showed some pants that actually had a zipper and a button. In my title, it did say pull on, but the pictures were different. I don't even know how that happened. The jeans she ended up getting, or the pants, were actually pull on, but she went by the pictures even though she realized there was a discrepancy between the title and pictures. She didn't get what she thought she was gonna get. She said a partial refund would be nice, but I didn't feel right with that, so I went ahead and just gave her a full refund, and that's what left me in the negative. I want to keep my 100% positive feedback on eBay, so a negative $8 plus about $4 in cost of goods is totally worth it to me. And again, it was my fault. I didn't want her to pay for something she didn't want to keep, and I didn't want to go through the trouble of getting it returned and her marking it as item not as described. Next up, also on eBay, it was these mink pink move floral leggings. They were high-rise athleisure pants. I also threw that at the end of the title. I sold these for $9. I didn't realize they had free shipping, but they did, so my earnings after everything was $1.73. And these leggings took 793 days to sell, so very low money on that and very long time for them to move. After my cost of goods, this is also a negative sale, maybe around a negative $1 to $2, but still we're here to make money, not lose money. I'm not picking up clothing nowadays, but if I was, this is a brand I would skip. Let's move on to some better news. We're going to talk about 7 items that sold really fast. The first 2 sold in 1 day, and the rest of the 5 are all going to be same day sales. So starting the list off with an eBay sale, it was these Louise Etier pointed toe preppy brogue wingtip Oxford loafer dress shoes. They sold for $38.99 after a coupon and fees. That left me with $26.24. This used to be a brand that when I saw it, I just automatically picked it up because it performed well for me. But as of lately, it has been sitting for a lot longer than it used to. So now I'm starting to be a little more selective with the items I pick up by this brand. These shoes here had a lot of things going for it. You can tell even by the title. They were pointed toe, they had a wingtip, they were Oxford style shoes, and they had brogue details. Because of all of those cool features, I knew that they would do well, so I felt very confident in picking them up. Number 6 on the list, we have the Steve Madden Ultra High Platform White Snake Print Chunky Block Heel Shoes. These sold for $25, which left me with earnings of $20.70. I started off this listing at $38, so I expected to get a little bit more than $25, but because someone sent me an offer a little bit after I had listed them, I thought, why not? Let's go ahead and accept it. Profit is still there, and I just want to keep these eBay sales rolling because sales attract more sales, so when it makes sense, I just accept offers. Number 5 is a Poshmark sale. We have some more Tory Burch shoes. These were some orange croc embossed all leather open toe casual d'Orsay slip-on sandals. These sold for $45 and left me with $36 in earnings. These were on the higher end at the thrift store, so I did pay about $17 for them, but as you can see, it is still worth it because I was still able to make a very good profit on them, and also they sold same day. Number 4 on the list, we have an eBay sale. It was these Olokai flat slides gold metallic slip-on comfort casual flip-flop sandals. They sold for $41 after a coupon and fees. My earnings came out to be $28.39. Again, same day for this one. This brand is a huge Bolo for the summer in women's and men's shoes. They tend to sell for a high price, and usually I can find them priced very low at the thrift store because they don't know about it too much. Sometimes they will price it up, but for the most part they price it way down, which leaves me with plenty of room to make profit on them. Number 3, we have a Poshmark sale. It was these 511 tactical slip resistant work safety men's leather slip-on shoe boots. They sold for $40, which left me with earnings of $32. They sold same day. The insoles were missing on them. I did replace them with some extra Dr. Scholl's insoles that I had laying around, but if they had the original insoles, I would have probably listed them for a little bit more. I paid about $8 for these, so it was still a decent sale after it all. On eBay, we have the number 2 sale, which was these Fit Flop Chunky Platform Tan Leather Cork Y2K High Wedge Heel Strappy Sandals. They sold for $34.49 with a promoted listing fee. That left me with $26.77. This used to be a very profitable brand for me to sell during the summer, but as of lately, the thrift stores have been pricing it way up. I used to be able to get them for $4 to $5, maybe $6 or $7, but now they're pricing them up all the way to like $17. Sometimes I'll get lucky and find them for $12 to $10, so I'll still pick those up, and sometimes I get really lucky and they end up pricing some on the lower end like they used to. So overall, I'm just being very selective with this brand when they are priced high like that. These were $10, so I was still able to make a really good profit on them. But the more simple sandals, the normal slip-on thong sandals, those I'm only getting if I can pay very little for them, because they're not going to sell as much as these did. Let's move on to the number 1 sale that sold really fast. It was these J Slides NYC Tassel Mule Gold Metallic Slip-on Platform Loafer Shoes. They sold for $32.50, which left me with earnings of $27.22, and again, they sold the same day. J Slides is one of those brands that make very unique shoes. They're not your typical average shoes. They always put a unique twist to them. These loafers were no different, so that's why I picked them up. I knew they'd do good. They weren't priced that high either, and they usually aren't at the thrift stores. It's not really a recognizable brand, but it does tend to do good on the reselling sites. I recently found some boots by them that are very cool. They were $4.50. I haven't gotten around to listing them yet, but I'm excited to do so I can see how they do, and maybe you'll see them next month in the high price or the fast selling categories. Now let's move on to the items that took way too long to sell, and the surprising part here is that some of these brands on this list are things that I pick up all the time and that sell a lot faster. So I'm going to just rapid fire go through these and kind of talk about where I think these items went wrong. Starting off with a Poshmark sale. It was these Corky's Elite Artsy Mule Red Leather Floral Slip-On Heeled Sandals. They sold for $20 and my earnings was $16, and these took a total of 273 days to sell. There's actually 3 brands that are named Corky's. There's Corky's with a K. That right there is a definite Bolo. I pick it up all the time as long as it's priced decently and in good condition. Then there's Boutique by Corky's. That one can do really well. The sale price isn't usually very high, but those styles do really well on eBay for me. And then there's this one here that's Corky's with a C. This one here have a lower average sale price, and if the style is not a decent style like these sandals here, then you can be sitting on them for a very long time. So I'm definitely going to be a lot more careful with these Corky's with a C next time I come across them. Next, we have a Poshmark sale. It was these Adriana Papel Dotted Fur Leather Preppy Loafers. They sold for $25, which left me with earnings of $20, and they took a total of 296 days to sell. Someone sent me this $25 offer, and they had been sitting around for way too long, so I just went ahead and accepted it. And so far, that's been my experience with Adriana Papel shoes. They sit around for way too long, so moving forward, I am going to try to be a lot more selective with this brand and do very thorough comps when I come across their shoes and I'm debating whether to pick them up or not. Next up, number 5, we have a Poshmark sale. It was these not rated strappy caged faux suede chunky block heel sandals. Shortly after I relisted these, they sold for $24, which left me with $19.20 in earnings, and they took a total of 312 days to sell. This brand does does have the potential to do well. Usually I can sell them in the upper 20s, but I am starting to find that that's the case with boots during the winter. Not so much with sandals and just more simple shoes like this one. What does really well by this brand is going to be the Western boots with the fringe and the studs. Those will sell for a lot more and a lot faster than these here. Next, number 4, again on Poshmark, we have these Clark's Real Fur embroidered herringbone flat loafer shoes. They sold for $20 after a shipping discount that left me with $13.98 in earnings, and they took a total of 320 days to sell. These shoes I got in a Flip lot, and if you don't know, Flip was a company that used to connect people who wanted to sell items with people who would sell the items for them. Basically a consignment type business. You could go on there, apply for lots, and they'd come to your home, and then you could sell them for these people and send them the money. But they're not doing business anymore. I'm not sure if they're ever coming back. I ended up buying out most of the lots that I had. Some of them I ended up returning back, the ones that I didn't think were worth buying out. But a lot of them I just went ahead and sent them an offer on the shoes I had left from them. Since I already had them photographed and listed, I thought that'd be easier than to just return everything. So a lot of the sales that end up in my slow selling categories or my low price selling categories are going to be items from flip lots, just because they've been sitting around for a while. That is the case with these shoes, as I said, and also with these next shoes too. There were these Cloud Steppers by Clark slip-on soft cushion sneakers. They sold on eBay for $20.50, and I was left with $14.25 in earnings. It took a total of 324 days to sell. These Clark shoes came in a flip lot that had over 30 Clark shoes that were still in a box and they were new. I sold a lot of them pretty quickly, but the few that I do have left are the ones that are either in small sizes or have a small defect. That was the case with these shoes. One of the laces was damaged, so that's why it took a long time to sell. I relisted it, and shortly after was when I was able to finally move it out of my inventory. Next one again was a flip lot item, and it was sold shortly after I relisted it. It was on Poshmark, and it was these Lori Goldstein peep toe booties. They sold for $27. I was left with $19.58 in earnings, and they sold 367 days after I listed them. Not a terrible sale overall, but they did take too long to sell for them to sell at just $27. If something's gonna take a long time to sell, I at least want to make a little bit more profit than that, and it did take about 3 times relisting this item in order to get it moving, so overall just not worth it. This next sale I actually bought in a lot, but on Poshmark. I used the credits that I get on there to buy a lot from someone of, I think it was 5 or 6 pairs of shoes. These here took a long time to sell. They sold for $20 and my earnings was $13.98, and the days listed was 371. Kate Spade shoes can do well. I usually can sell them for $30 to $40, but they do always take a very long time to sell. The ones that sell a little bit more quickly are their collabs with kids that have glitter all over them, but other than that, most shoes sit around for way too long. So when I do find them at the thrift store, I try to pay very little for them just so that my money is not tied up in those shoes for a very long time. But since they can sell for upwards of $30 to $40, I don't mind picking them up if I can have a low cost of goods on them. Now let's talk about the total sales numbers for the month of April. In total, in April, I made $7,220 in sales. Cost of goods for everything that sold that month was $1,562. And after those costs of goods, after refunds, after all other fees involved, my final profit was $3,400. In total, I listed 270 78 items. That is an average daily listing of 9 to 10 items a day. So partly it was the eBay update, but the other part of why my sales were so high was that I have been a lot more consistent with listing. I used to struggle to get to an average of 7 to 8 listings a day, so I am very proud of myself for hitting that 9 to 10 listings a day. I've been trying to be more consistent with sourcing and just making listing a priority every single day. I've also been batching a lot more than I used to. I will prep a bunch of shoes, photograph a bunch, and list up to 40 to 50 items in one day. That has really been helping me out in staying consistent. The total items sold was 213, and that averages out to about 7 sales a day. One thing I've always noticed, and I've mentioned before in these videos in the past, is that you will always sell as much as you list. As long as the things you're listing are good, high quality items, you can expect that to be the case. However, you have to keep in mind that sometimes your sales take a little bit of time to catch up with the amount you're listing. I started being very consistent with listing 10 items a day towards the end of March, so I'm hoping that if I keep up this pace, eventually I can move on to 8 to 9 average sales a day, and then eventually 10. My average selling price in April was $33.90. On average, I paid $7.34 for the items that I sold, and that leaves me with an average overall profit of $15.97 for everything I sold in April. Now let's take a look at what happened on each platform. So on Poshmark, I sold 132 items for a total of $3,920. On eBay, I sold 78 items, and that was for $3,213. On Deop, I sold a total of 3 items, and that was for a total of $86.98. Poshmark was pretty steady from what it had been the previous month. It was just a slight jump, maybe by a few $100s. Deop was like 100% increase because I haven't really been doing anything over there this whole year. In April, I was trying to list 7 items here and there, nothing too consistent, and I'm still debating right now whether I want to continue putting a little bit of effort there or just leave it alone and focus on Poshmark and eBay for now. I keep going back and forth, and that's usually the case. When I try to add a new platform, I go from yes to no, yes to no. So we'll see next month what happens. eBay, on the other hand, that increase was significant. If you watched my previous reselling income reports, then you know that my goal had always been to reach at least $2,000 in sales in a month on eBay. And for some reason, I always struggled to hit that mark. I would get very close to it, but I never actually got there. I was doing all the right things, just like on Poshmark. I was listing a fair amount of items week after week. I had good pictures, good titles, filling out my item specifics, but things were just not growing over there. And towards the end of March, I figured out the issue. In March, I did a collab with eBay just to bring more awareness to their international shipping program. They wanted sellers to know more about it and how it works, so I did a collab video with them. When I was researching and prepping for that video, I was looking over my eBay page in the shipping settings, and I saw an option that said eBay discounted rate. Basically, what that means is that buyers get to pay the shipping price that I pay instead of being upcharged what USPS would normally charge for shipping. I'd never seen that setting before. That was weird to me, so I just went ahead and selected it, and shortly after I did so, my sales shot up. And just recently I did start coming across content by other resellers where it explains exactly what happened. Apparently this is a new option eBay is giving to us sellers. They are allowing us to offer our discounted shipping rates to buyers. So instead of them paying what they would pay if they were to go to the post office to ship something, they pay what we pay, which is a discounted rate. And apparently the reseller community is divided on this topic. Some people think it's a good idea. Other people think eBay is screwing them over. Because they paid less in shipping than what the buyer paid, they ended up with a few bucks in shipping, and that helped them offset some of the cost of their shipping supplies. I use mostly the free priority priority mailboxes. My poly bags that I put my items in aren't that expensive, so it really did not impact me much in a negative way, that is. It did impact me in a positive way, which is why I'm going to continue leaving that setting on, at least for now. Maybe later down the line, I'll switch to flat rate shipping, which is what I should have done this whole time. I don't know why I never realized that that was my problem with eBay. My shipping was way too high because I was using calculated shipping. But you live and you learn. I'm so glad I finally figured out what the issue is and that my eBay store is finally growing. I'm really excited to see what May ends up looking like for me. I'm really going to try to stay consistent with the 10 items a day as long as I keep finding the inventory to do so. I'm also trying to stay very consistent with my relisting. I'm doing 5 to 7 items a day every day on eBay and Poshmark. So with doing all of that, my goal for next month is to hit the $7,500 in sales. So it's not a major jump but a small one. But because we are heading into summer slowdown, I'm not sure if I will get there. So as long as I can stay in the 7,000, I'll be content. I'm glad I'm back making these monthly reselling income reports because I get to rant and talk about things that I don't normally talk about in other videos. So if you like this kind of content, make sure to give me a thumbs up down below so that I know I should continue doing them. Also, in the comments down below, let me know, how has your reselling business been this year? I will leave a playlist right here of my other reseller income reports, so you can click there to go watch more. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.